It's going to raise the cost of production, but it is also going to raise productivity. If you are paying, if you're increasing the wages of those at the lower level, you expect them to become more productive. There will be less. There's a lot of incentive for paying people well to become more productive. If you don't pay people well, you can't raise productivity. So that's one factor. The raising of the minimum wage will also raise productivity. And employers must be careful. They should not just use that as a pretext. Some of them will use it as a pretext of raising the cost of what they produce, just like when there are certain taxes put on them. So we hope that the employers will see this as their contribution and an effort to raise productivity itself. And raising minimum wages does other thing as well, Rashika. If you raise minimum wages, these are for people who are paid at the lowest level. There are people in many sectors who are already paid at a much higher rate than the minimum wage. For example, because of COVID, because of labor shortage, in the formal sector, according to FNPF data, the salaries and wages have increased already by 14%. You go and look at sectors in tourism and others where wages have gone up. So the minimum wages is for those people at the lowest level, and it is not right for employers and those who can afford to pay to pass those increase in cost onto the consumers. That would be unethical. It will defeat the purpose of paying these people. But also it has an economic benefit. When you raise wages of people at the lowest level, what do? Almost 100% of the income or 90% of the income is spent, and mostly on food. So it also generates economic activity, is good for the employers, good for businesses, if the income level of our people actually increase. So when retailers complain about consumption, why do they complain about consumption? Because people are not spending. But if people have more income, they will be able to spend more. So I don't think the impact of the minimum wages should be used by employers to just simply translate that into prices. That is the argument that some of them will use. That's understandable. But we have also said that the government is open to looking at those employers who may face some difficulty. But as I said in my speech, we are going to assess that and ensure that, and we are already giving a lot to our businesses in this country. Manufacturers, we've removed the 3%. We didn't bring the dividend tax. We didn't increase the company tax or the corporate tax. So there are a lot of protection for local manufacturers, some as far as 42%. So I would hope, and I urge the businesses not to use this as an opportunity to pass on prices onto the consumers. What was your second question? In relation to productivity is a factor of several variables. So one is, if you don't pay people well, if you don't train them, if you don't provide the appropriate technology, the gear and all that for them to work, then the productivity can be affected. So it's a combination of a number of variables. So it's incumbent upon employers also to invest in training of the employees, in new ways of doing things. That will raise productivity. Government, on its part, we have announced a number of measures in the budget, whether it's apprenticeship, whether it's providing funding for small, medium entrepreneurs, whether it's providing support for technical skills, whether it's providing additional funding for those private students who are facing hardship. This is all designed to increase the skill set, all designed to increase the productivity of the employees that would go and work for the employers. So government is doing its part in a significant way. And this budget has several provisions under TELS to aid that, but the employers also have a responsibility to support productivity. And the government, by raising the minimum wage, is also signaling to the unions, signaling to the employees that we all need to raise productivity in this country. Absenteeism, employers complain about absenteeism. That could be a factor of many variables as well. And one of them, I think, is if employees don't feel looked after, if they're not paid well, you can't expect them to get better productivity. So we're looking at this in a holistic manner, Rashika.